This is my flourless chocolate cake, a really simple and delicious dessert. Basically a chocolate mousse that's been baked. It's really light, it melts on the tongue, but the best thing is it's gluten free. So what we need to do, we need to add equal parts butter and chocolate, and that's going to go onto a pan of simmering water, making sure the water doesn't touch the bowl, otherwise the chocolate might burn. It needs to be dark chocolate because it helps to give the full flavour to the cake. But don't worry if it's a bit more cocoa solids or less, just use one that you actually like the taste of, because that way you know the cake is going to taste good. So when the chocolate and butter are fully melted and you've got a nice smooth mix, take that off the heat and you need to let that sit whilst you do the rest of the elements, and that'll cool down slightly as well. So first thing to do is add our light brown sugar to our bowl, and then we're going to separate our eggs. So you're going to put the yolks with the sugar, and then we can use the whites later to make our meringue. So once we've added all our yolks to the sugar, we need to whisk that up until it's nice and thick and pale. So this is our nice thick and pale egg mixture. We can leave that aside for a moment while we make our meringue. So you're going to take our egg whites, add that to our mixer, and then whisk that till it's soft peaks, and then we can slowly add in our sugar. If you don't have a mixer, you can still do that with a normal hand whisk. It'll just take a little bit longer. So when our meringue has started to go, we can slowly add in our sugar, pour that in, and just whisk that together until it's fully combined and we've got a really nice glossy meringue. So we've got a really nice stiff glossy meringue. All we need to do now is combine the three. So we're going to take our egg yolk mixture and add that to our chocolate. And you don't have to worry about keeping air with this mixture because the air is from the meringue, so don't worry too much. The last stage is to add our egg whites. So you want to add about a third at a time, and that way it's easier to keep the air in there, which means we're going to get a really light finished cake. And what I do is I turn the bowl as I do it, and that's a little bit more effective. You need less strokes to get all the mixtures folded together. What you're trying to do is fold it enough so that we've got a really light mixture, but not fold it too much so that all the air goes out of the cake, which means you're going to get a really flat result. So once the first third is added, we can add the next. So basically, as you can see, this is a cooked chocolate mousse. The egg and the egg white is what's giving the cake some structure, and that's what keeps it from being a completely liquid mix. So once we've got our mix, which is nice and even, no streaks of egg white, you need to pour this into the tin. So we've got our springform tin, which is lined with parchment paper, and we've greased it on the outside with a little bit of butter. Because this mix is full of air, don't pour it from a high height. Try and pour it quite close to the base like that. And the reason we use a springform is because the cake is very, very delicate when it comes out of the oven, and you can't turn it out of the tin because it will just collapse on itself. So with the springform, we've got the clasp on the side, and that means when it's baked and cooled slightly, we can just unclip it and remove the ring, and we can serve it straight on the dish. So really nice and simple for it. So once that's in there, we don't really need to level it, because the more you level it, the more air you knock out of it. So pour it in and leave it. If you are worried about it not being too straight, what you can do is give it a little spin, and that will naturally just flatten out slightly. You don't really need to do this. This is a fairly rustic, simple cake, so don't worry too much. That's going to go into the oven at 180 degrees Celsius, or 160 if you're using a fan oven. That's going in there for about 40 minutes. The cake's been in there for about 35 to 40 minutes, and as you can see, it's started to crack, which is what it should do, so don't worry about that. If you tested it with a skewer as well, you'd come out with some moisture on there. It's not a dry cake, you want that on there, so don't cook it too long. You need to let that cool. If it collapses slightly, don't worry about that. It just adds to the look, and I quite like it like that. It just means you can get slightly squidgier inside. So let that cool, and then we can serve it. So let's give this a go. It just completely disappears on the tongue. It's absolutely delicious. If you want to do something different, what you could do is, as you pour in the batter, add in a little bit of fruit, some raspberries maybe, some blackberries. Really, really nice and simple. And if you want to give the cake a little bit more decoration, what you could do is just finish it with a little dusting of icing sugar. If you want to see any more recipes, don't forget to subscribe. And if you've got any recipe requests, leave a comment below and let me know. Once the scones have had about an hour to rest, they start to expand slightly. So if you look at this one here, you can see it's got that slightly pushed out bottom, which just means that you're going to get that slightly more attractive look when they bake. Very hotel style, very kind of